Hello and welcome to the Reignbreaker live stream. We are Studio Fizbin, and I am Ian, the community manager for Studio Fizbin. And today I'm here with two of my colleagues. So Maria, can you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Maria, and I'm a concept artist at Studio Fizbin. And Julian?
Hi, me again. I'm Julian. I'm a technical artist for Studio Fizbin. I do shaders and graphics programming and these kind of things.
Awesome. Well, thank you both for being here, and also for putting together a really cool behind-the-scenes sort of presentation for this stream that we're going to go into in a few minutes. This is a really unique stream, in my opinion, because we're going to really go into depth about how we created a lot of the assets in this game. In particular, we're going to be looking at the first major boss fight that you see, and you'll have fought it if you've played the demo, but it's called the Chimera. You also might have seen me try my hand against the Chimera in the last couple of live streams. So that's going to be really fun. And we're going to start just by doing some combat against the Chimera so you can see it in game. But first of all, who's in the chat today? Hi, Trash Rando. Excellent name. Hi, Fly T. Hello, Rainbow Rat Art. Hi, Rosanna. And hi, Kawaii Foxita. Thank you for moderating today. Kawaii Foxita is, of course, Gemma from Thunderful, our publisher. Hello, Lena Fleer. Nice to see you. First timer, welcome. And yeah, basically, before we go in, I want to make a couple reminders. We have, of course, a demo that's live right now for Steam Next Fest. So if you haven't played it yet, please do go to our Steam page, play the demo, check it out. Let us know what you think. If you have played it, please leave a review. It helps us get in front of more people. And of course, wishlist it if you haven't already. And as of 1 hour ago, we also launched a giveaway. So we have this. Oh, I should have put a picture of it in my stream. But we had an original design made by one of our artists that is featuring Clef, looking really cool. And we've put that onto a display poster. So if you want some really cool wall art that looks very medieval punk-y, and you like the design of our game, just go ahead and enter. You can enter worldwide, and all you have to do is, like, you know, wishlist us, play the demo, retweet us on whatever. So super easy, and there will be links to that Robot will be sharing throughout the stream. So without further ado, I think we can go ahead and pop right into the game. Boom.
Yeah,
Yes,
let's
let's
go.
go.
So this is going to be interesting because, as I said, I wanted just to show off the Chimera because that's what we're going to be talking about a little bit later on. And right now, I don't have any of the normal power-ups that you would get in a run. So we'll see how long I survive, but I don't know. I believe in myself. We'll see how well I can do. But I'm gonna just be using my most basic attacks for this, so nothing fancy. But you guys, while I'm fighting, want to point out anything interesting about this guy?
You can do it. I'm pretty sure you'll defeat him easily.
Yeah, we'll see. You can see how little damage my attacks are doing. I did beat it on the last stream, so I feel okay about that, but this is a slightly powered up version, and yeah, as I said, I'm not having any power-ups. But
Well,
I think
you're doing pretty well.
Thank you.
I don't think I've been able to beat the Chimera yet without turning on like the invulnerability. So you're
yes.
doing way better.
Yeah, that is one way we can cheat as game devs. We have access to the debug menu and all of the wonderful cheats. Oh god, oh god. Oh, I'm definitely not going to do this one, but oh, okay.
No.
Well. Oh, I have a resurrection.
Oh, nice.
Okay, I forgot about that. I got
Lucky
the
you.
resurrection update.
Yeah, that's also one of my favorite power-ups that you can get from the character upgrade station, right?
The resurrection.
Yeah, because it like jump scares me sometimes when I don't know I have it, and I get to play again.
Yeah, for sure. Oh gosh, so Now enemies have spawned. I believe that happens when you take a bit too long on the first phase. They eventually start spawning normal enemies so that, you know, it's a bit harder. But that was the Chimera. That's all we wanted to see today. We'll jump back into the gameplay a bit later, but now that we've reminded everybody what the Chimera looks like, I actually want to hand it over to my colleagues here. They've put together this wonderful presentation. Presentation makes it sound a little boring. What's another word we can say?
Presentation's fine.
Sure.
Slides.
Discussion,
Insights.
talking. Yeah.
So take it away, Maria.
Okay, thank you, Ian. And okay, so hi. As you already heard from me, I'm the concept artist at Fizbin. And I will be talking a little bit about the concepting process for the Chimera, which you just watched Ian play really beautifully. So next, if it already wasn't visible, our game art direction follows the core idea of like kit bashing these different visual elements you see here. So the European Gothic medieval, retro high tech, and punk elements to create what we call medieval punk. Next, if you look at this handy layer process that Engine, our game director, has created, you can see that we go from having like a historical period object, then we add some story flavoring, we kind of crumble it, add some tech, and then we add modern decay. So that's like a pretty quick and dirty look at it. And we try to apply this thinking when we create assets as artists. We don't apply all the different steps, of course. We want to have variety, but this is something we try to keep in mind. So, next, as a concept artist, I am given a briefing by my art directors, which during this time was both Frauke and Amjad. And I'm given information and sometimes like sketches like this you see here of what I should concept. So for this is like the first time I saw the camera. You can see it's really different as it looks now. But what we can see here is like the door thingies that smash together, fully rotating body, fully rotating gun mace, and the three faces in the ring or the body. Next.
And just
And
one question:
yeah,
this concept art, this is what you got from the art director?
yes,
Okay,
it
cool.
is. Right. So this was the proxy model that the designers used to play around with it in the engine and also realize like the scale and put animations, put these, yeah. Next, please.
Wait, what is that face?
Oh, yeah. So I guess I guess the whoever made this wanted to put the textures for the faces from the previous games that Fizbin made, which
Yeah,
is called
Say No
Say No
More.
More.
Yeah, so that's the coach from Say
Yeah.
No More. That's such a funny image. I will try to think of that the next time that I fight the Chimera, and maybe I won't be so scared.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wish we could switch to the old model with a single button press.
Easter
Oh,
egg.
that would be fun. Yeah. Very unintimidating, right?
Yeah, well, I think we said
Um,
no to that. That
so
was a joke.
I, I know. Okay. There's three parts to concept. So there would have been four, but we are able to use the middle ball as a reusing asset from one of our already created enemies, which has like the keyhole eye thing, which is great because it fits the shape and also fulfills the lock cracking mechanism. So the three other things that we have to figure out are the shield and the gun slash mace and the main ring body. Next. So, for those who don't really know, the process of creating asset concepts, sorry, it kind of looks kind of like this. So when you think about game artists, you kind of think about, oh yes, we create really nice, pretty illustrations. No, that is for the illustrators. Concept artists make concepts, and we have to do a lot of figuring out things, how things work together. Yeah, so after you get the briefing, you gather reference pictures. You also do research. And then you start sketching iterations, a lot of different iterations that you will then present to your art directors, and they will give you feedback or overpaints or both. And then you kind of like do back and forth until you figure out, yes, one sketch. So, I mean, one concept that works out. Next. So, for this one, I started off with the shield. It's the biggest part of the body, and I want to explore some quick ideas before thinking about the ring body, since those two will impact each other quite a lot. And it's easier to concept this before diving into the main dish because the main body is so complex. Like it has three faces and then the ring thing and yeah. So it's easier to get into this. So I will just quickly go over these. For the shield, I was thinking about three main ideas. So we could have a triptych type of thing, but act like a door. I thought that would be pretty interesting. We can put a really nice picture in the middle, and it's also pretty angular, which I like. Or you could use a repurposed iron bell because we have like a lot of iron bells in our game already. Just cut it in half and then half again. And I thought it would sound really fun if like you slam it together
Oh
or it
yeah.
slams on the ground. It does like a boing sound from like bells. Boing. Um, or you can use like this iron bust, like a Catholic relic where it has like tiny little saints inside Mary's body. I thought that was really fun. But have that idea and like apply it to our world, and you can also put jewels on it, so there's a lot of opulence that can happen there. Yeah, if you go next.
One
After
second,
I
I want
have,
to answer
yeah.
a couple questions. So one person
Ooh,
says, "I love the smiley face on the sketch." I also love that on the right there.
uh,
And Rainbow Rat Art asked, "Did you have any other existing enemies from other games or media in mind when designing this one?"
no.
So your
I
inspiration is
mean,
mostly just from one, the concept that you got from the art director, and two, just like what you've just described.
yeah, so main inspirations are the sketch we got and the model obviously, and also like the art direction we are going. So we want a lot of this like Catholic style thing, medieval world. I personally am actually not a huge gamer, so I actually don't have a big library of bosses in my mind. But yeah.
And forgive me if you're going to talk about this a little bit later, but also a lot of our enemy designs have some kind of animal inspiration, and this one definitely
Ooh.
did. But that's just for phase two, which we actually haven't seen yet. But maybe you could mention
Right.
that.
I mean, what I remember is that there's like I think phase two had a scorpion, right?
Yes, yeah, for
Was it?
sure.
Yeah, because the animation goes like the mace is like a scorpion tail, I
Yeah, it
think.
sort of does a transformery thing. I think you can see it at the end of our most recent trailer. But it like yeah, sort of reconfigures into a scorpion and smashes its shield together. So yeah, in
Yeah.
addition to all of these like mechanical and archaeological influences, there's also usually an animal influence too that we were sort of taking reference from. So not so much based on existing enemies, at least as far as we know. Of course, there's a lot of people involved in designing this, but yeah. Okay, I'm gonna move on.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so after having the quick idea for the doors, I started exploring the design for the main body. And there's three main ideas. I won't get super into it, but I just wanted to put it out there that this part was really important to kind of explore different ideas that we can go to. For example, A, like the face of her young days of the rain, where she's stable. I mean, sorry, like this three stages of Farrah's reign. It also corresponds with the attack style the Chimera is in. So, for example, the young one, she's kind of stable. So the door, it feels like a defense. It's stable. And then maybe when she's getting kind of corrupted, it's like a shotgun because she's like shooting down her opponent. And then the last one is kind of a mace because she's like an absolute ruler. Or I thought maybe showing human misery, just visual depictions of like human misery, but like so bodies melting or something like that, but these are all metal, of course, they're not actual flesh. And maybe C, we could also use like symbols of the Queen's martyrs. So like what if there's like three main martyrs and then we use their symbolism to create the faces there. So one of them could maybe be like a heart encased inside a really nice box thing. Because maybe they are so faithful and stuff, and people really hate this person, so they ripped out the heart. Of course, this is not a real heart; it's like a mechanical heart, maybe, and it's beating inside. That would be
Sure.
cool visuals. Another one would be like a scribe, and they have these like hand screws that's to torture. And I thought, ooh, that would be cool if there's like hands holding this yassified screw with stained glass inside. And then the last one was like, what if we had this skull skeleton thing because this was a preacher and their eyes and tongues were gouged out because they were really, really just preaching it all out, and people do not like that. Yeah. So next,
That's cool.
thank you. Yeah. So now that we have all these different ideas, then we can kind of put it together and try to find a cohesive way to visualize it. So we picked one. We went with the three faces that reflect the queen's state of being and also the state of the kingdom. And as you can see, I also tried to concept the shield on the side as well. It's a bit easier to do when the main idea of the body was also forming. Yeah, and next, I also, I think I started to concept the maze the last. If you go next, you see the maze. Yeah, so on the left, you actually see some quick sketches from Frauke. And these are great because these kind of sketches you get from your art director, oh, they're so precise, I mean, concise, and it gives me a lot of information of the different directions I can go. So I could make a fire thing that is held by a old statue hand. I could make a gunshot thing that looks like a cannon. I could also make a mace that shoots out projectiles, right? So these are three very different ideas that she gave me that I can work off from. So the sketches on the right, you can see that. You can see with the brown lines, that's the medieval aspect, and then the blue lines are the high tech to kind of
Hmm.
differentiate and see how much which percentage is which. Yeah. So if you go next, you will see that we tried to start it to kind of put things together to look a little nicer. Farah, she has a lot of like in her hands, she has a lot of jewelry as well for opulence, as always. Um, However, if you go to the next, oh no, it's really big, and like we really wanted to try this out, but it clips everywhere. It doesn't work with the animations. Oh well. That's something I should have kept more in mind, but I was just so like I was so excited, you know. Yeah, so next. Then we go back and we think about it again. And we try to figure out how do we keep the main idea, but also like kind of like make it more like what do you call it? Dehydrated. Can't think
Yeah.
of the word. Yes, and yeah, if you go next. Yeah, and in the meantime, you also figure out what happens to the maze as well. Next. Yeah, so we skipped a lot of steps, but after a lot of help from my art directors, back and forth, all that stuff, we figured out what it would look like, and that is what you see now. We figured out the color schemes, the materials. We figured out how we're going to dehydrate it. And you see that the younger days, we used this marble color. In the height of her power, we use this brass. And this question mark, we see this darkened version that is still her. Um, Next, please. Yeah, and this is what you want to see by the end of the concepting. You don't really see this a lot in like art books because it's not like quote quote pretty, but this is what you want. This is production art. This is like what you need. Um, this is it shows you a lot of information about how the model is going to be created. It shows you which part of the previous models you're going to reuse is going to be used. It shows you what the side view is for the shield, and just a whole bunch of information. So concept art is all about information and like giving it effectively for production so that you can pass it over to whoever needs it next. Yeah. So that is created by my amazing Frauke, and I was able to learn a lot from this. So,
What is this
yes.
emoji?
Oh, that was just me. When I was looking back on this and just thinking, holy moly, this is pretty awesome. Because it's been a while since I saw this sheet again, and I just see how uh like how much information she's able to pack, and also just really easily seen. Because this is for like texturing, it's for 3D animation, and it's also for 3D modeling. So there's like a lot going on. I was just in awe.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right,
Right.
so
So if you
moving on. Ah,
yeah.
okay, so now Julian will take over. Is
Nice,
that you?
thank you. That is me, obviously.
Of course.
Maria had something similar on her first slide, so I thought that is our transitional
Very
thing.
good, very good.
Next, please, already. What Maria showed you was a lot of early production kind of stuff, right? Concept art is at the beginning of the process for each individual asset. And I'll rather show you something that is equally far on the end of things. I'll show you a bit of look dev, some lighting tech and shader stuff. And I'll try to focus on things that you usually wouldn't be able to see, except if you maybe break the game open completely, because the result, the in-between results that I'll try to show is something that is usually hidden from the players.
Yes, let's
So
break
next.
the game open.
So all our models, all our characters are really regular 3D models. There's no interesting trickery going on here. They are modeled and rigged and animated in Blender. Next, please. And then textured by our 3D artists with a certain set of brushes that we have in all softwares that we use to get a cohesive style. And we try to recreate the 2D designs on the 3D model. But still, nothing too crazy is happening here. This is kind of the default that everybody is doing, I guess. And really, what is the interesting part where our models really shine, where they look different than anything else, next please, is the textures, because they're nicely painted, and the stylized lighting, because that is something not everybody can do. Next. So this is the Chimera as you see it in the game. It has some shadows in itself. It has some glowy bits. It has some shininess to it. But there's still more going on here. So we'll disable the custom shading and peel back these layers bit by bit to see what it is made of. Next. This is what it would look like with the default Unity shader, where we would have done no work at all and just plopped our textures in, and this would be how it looks. Next.
Wow.
I could argue it looks a bit boring. Not enough contrast. The gradients are soft. We don't like those. There are no outlines. It is still a great texture, but it is not as nice as the other picture before, right? So why is that? Next. This is again the entire game
Yeah.
without lighting at all. No shadows, no other things going on, really just the base textures. This is basically what people paint to get it into the game, and all the rest on top is done in real time in the game engine. Next, please. These are the two textures that we produce for every asset. On the left is the color texture, which gives color to the objects. On the right is a super weird and interesting looking thing where we have a lot of masks that store information about what we want the dynamic parts to look like, or the information that we need for them. So next.
Yeah, somebody mentioned in the chat this is the biblically accurate Chimera.
Absolutely.
So
It
true.
is a flattened out version of the Chimera. Oh yes, it is very much biblically accurate. We have an occlusion map, a lines map, an emission, which is just a small, tiny bit in the middle in the core, and a specular map. These are basically local shadows. The outlines itself, again, separately, so we can put them on top of everything else again at the end, and where it is shiny and where it is not. Next. This is just the custom lighting on a white background. And this still looks different compared to the lit model with the default shading. So what is happening here? We can investigate this in more detail. Next. This is how it looks when we move it around. Notice how the shadows stick to the character, but when I rotate it, they still change. These.
There we go.
And that was super important to us. We don't want our shadows to move too much. It is not a default screen space texture overlay thing, because otherwise it would be too noisy. It would change too much. The game is already super hectic, and adding more to this in every surface would be weird. So we worked hard to get the next thing. These are the texture coordinates that we use for this texture, for this effect. They stick to the character, even in animation. And these were super important to us for the entire production because we reuse those for a lot of different effects as well. For example, if you go behind an object, you have this yellowish silhouette on the character, on the main character. And that uses the exact same information that we also generate for the lighting. Next. But what is this good for? We want this texture. That is a drawn map. Somebody, Anjin, presumably, I think, was it in the beginning, made it in Photoshop by hand. And then we put this on every character, on every surface, on everything in the entire game using these very specific special texture coordinates to modify the regular lighting with it. So next.
Whoa.
This is the default lighting again. And next. We combine these two together to get this interesting behavior in the shadows. We'll turn off the lights first so we can isolate it a bit. And if you look closely, now that you've seen the patterns, you might be able to spot them again in the shadows while I move the light around.
I love that.
Let's watch that again.
That's so cool.
This is already the next, I think. You see there's a gradient on top of the texture there in the video. We can tweak exactly how these shadow bands fall in this texture. And that gives us a lot of control over how we wanted the look of every of the lights to be exactly. There's a lot of white on the right because we still wanted very bright lights to really burn out that pattern completely. But for the left part, we define kind of clean bands, which is a usual thing to do in this kind of toonish lighting. But we don't make them completely perfect. We allow a little bit of blending in between to give them a bit of anti-aliasing, to make them again not super sharp, to make them just fade a tiny bit, again for more visual stability. Next. We can also change how much the texture is repeating now. So we can change the amount of detail we put into the shadows, or we can put different textures in there as well, and totally control the look of how light works in this world.
That's
very
really
trippy.
Cool. Wow.
And it still works in animation, obviously.
Oh, cool.
That's crazy.
Neat.
Next. Apart from the patterning, we can also, in different ways, control how the colors of the light work. We defined an additional far light color or light shadow color and a core light color, which is the usual one. But this is already not how a regular lighting model works. Usually a light has one color. And then there's still an ambient color, which the entire environment picks up. But the specific light can have these two different colors where you can do really, really dramatic lighting with it.
Nice.
So again, think the gradient on the left stands for any kind of shadows that we have in the entire game. Then there is our super uniquely painted pattern. We combine these two to get the third image, and then we use that to map it onto that gradient to create a bit more sharpness. That is how our custom shadows kind of work. Next.
Ooh,
And then, ta-da, we have a bunch of fancy lights.
Look
she's
at
ready
this
to
go.
dance. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
Very cool. She's ready to dance, or she's
So.
getting arrested. Red and blue lights.
Both.
Yeah, maybe both.
I noticed that we use a lot of this purple, bluish, and reddish, pinkish contrasts, and if you put both of them together in any kind of animation like this, it immediately is a police siren.
Yeah. Well,
Can't do
also kind
anything
of
about
fitting, but you know, we're very anachronistic
yes.
in this game.
Next. So I have a few more things which are not as detailed, but also might be super interesting to see. So this is the bonus stage of just some randomly combined things.
Great.
We continue with a lighting thing. So next, we made something that is a placeable shadow, which doesn't have any object attached to it that casts it at all. And it isn't even a real shadow. It is, we hijacked a technique that is called decals, which is really for projecting stickers or anything like that onto objects. And turned one of the sticker decals into a shadow decal buffer, which all the objects can read from and combine with the rest of the shadows. This allows us to really, really, really specifically art direct how shadows work, what areas are in shadow, and add some specifically super dark areas underneath our characters. But they blend really, really well with the regular shadows, which you normally always struggle to get. Because when two shadows overlap and there is only one light source, it always looks super weird and odd. But these allow us to do this in a physically plausible-ish way.
That is wild.
Yeah. Very believable shadow as well.
Yeah.
There's a common accepted technique in the industry that is called capsule shadows that works similarly, but not quite as much. Like not with through decals at least. I wanted to show a little sneak peek because those are all the status effects that our character shaders can do. And
Nice.
in here, I've been told there are a few that nobody can have seen in the game yet. So
It's okay, we're exclusive here.
Yeah, so that will be things that you will be able to apply to the enemies to get advantages.
Neat.
We'll see what they'll do when the game comes out, I guess.
That's really cool.
And over here, we have this timeline interface. That is how we sequence all the actions our characters can do. And that is kind of unusual, I think. I've seen a few other games. I guess we were all also inspired by other people doing this. But I don't see it that often. And the cool part about this, we can really preview easily what an action will look like, and we can step through it frame by frame, super slowly. We can rewind. We can do all of these things to really, really tweak our effects and when what will happen, which state a specific hitbox will be enabled. All these things we can tweak in this linear timeline, and that is a very convenient interface, I want to say. Lots of tooling went into it, and it was a bit of pain in the beginning, but it is a very valuable tool for us.
Yeah, that's
So
super
next.
cool.
For example, with this, we can easily now pause on some of the effects.
Whoa.
These blue stripes, if you
Wow.
want to know. these are just, and because we can now pause this here while it's still playing, I can tell you it is a texture that is just scrolling. It is a scrolling texture on
Ooh.
a
Oh.
slightly shaped mesh, but nothing else really. I can even detach it from the
Wow.
character. Over here, we have a bunch of small little particle meshes, which make these sparks. They just fly and then dissipate. This is the regular Unity CPU particle system. Nothing crazy even. Basic tech. The next thing,
Nothing
this giant,
crazy, you say.
nothing
Right.
crazy, but it looks super interesting.
Wow.
That next
I-
thing is
Whoa.
a placeable weapon swipe that we've built with VFX Graph, where we can reposition and change the arc that it takes, and especially look at how the two different layers of it wobble against each other. That's
Julian, I just want to
very
say, like, you say this is basic tech, but I, as a non-tech artist who knows nothing about these things at all, this is incredible.
Yeah, as Oliver
This is
Ratman says in
look
chat, nothing crazy. Counterpoint. Looks crazy.
exactly like
we
wow.
use tools that are available to everybody. Maybe not for the last part here, maybe not for that timeline thing, but for these particles there, for the sparks, we use technology that is available to everybody.
All right.
That is why it isn't crazy. We put a lot of effort and time into making things that look crazy and special and heartfelt, touched by artists, right? Through these tools. So yes, it is quite an understatement if I say that. That's true.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. Shall I go on?
All right. Yes. With all that knowledge, I think we're ready to defeat it.
Oh, on his
R.I.P.
knees.
So good
Right.
luck to Ian.
Oh gosh. Now I've got to do something. Okay, and
Oh,
of
I
course.
just want to say, yes, in this slide, as you can see, just creating this one boss character, it took this many people to do it. And of course, within these people, all the skills that they hold, right? Art directors, 3D proxy model, animation, rigs, concepting, texturing, shaders, VFX. You you gotta realize, like, wow, this is a lot of work by a lot of people, and we rely on each other to get this done. For example, like I say, I'm the concept artist, but if I did not have my art directors, I would not exist. My mind would be like slop or something. Like I am able to get to a point to do things because my art directors are able to give me really good feedback, give me ideas, fix things for me, etc. And so I just want to say, look at all these people who made it. They're amazing. Yes, and back to Ian.
Yeah, it takes a
Absolutely.
village.
Yes.
Does anybody have any questions from the chat? Of course, you can ask throughout the rest of the stream if there's anything else you want to know, or if you see something in the run through that you're like, oh wow, how did they do that? Feel free to ask away. This is your best chance. I'm going to hop over into the game.
Nice.
But thank you guys. That was super interesting, and I actually learned a lot because, you know, I don't know how all of this stuff works. I am never working in
Well,
Unity, so that I'm one of these people who says this looks like black magic to me. So very well done, super interesting. And yeah, let's go ahead and see this actually in action.
thank you. It was
Like,
also my pleasure. And it was also really fun to see Julian talk about the tech art stuff that I never know anything about.
Yeah,
oh,
it's
thank
interesting
you.
how many
Same to you.
specialties there are, for sure.
Right. Okay, so what's the plan here, Ian?
So yes, that's a great question. First of all, I want to point out this because I actually
Ooh.
forgot I would see this today because this is a special statue that I can that you can get by completing the demo. So if you want this funny little statue, which I think is like the desiccated parts of the Chimera, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can get that in your full game by playing the demo, and I am actually playing the full game right now, or at least the most current version. So yeah, my plan today is to continue where we left off. Basically, I had just finished the Chimera, but then, it didn't seem quite fully defeated. So we're gonna go back into the run and see what's up with that. And I think things are gonna be a little harder this time. Maybe there's gonna be another phase to the fight that I alluded to earlier. But first, I have to choose my weapon, and today I really want to focus on the shotgun, which is one of the 5 main types of bayonets that you can get for your javelin. And because I used cheats to get to this point, I have all of the variants unlocked. So let me see, what do I want? I think, I mean, the boomstick is a classic. Let's grab that. I also don't want to spoil all the other ones. So the boomstick is your standard javelin, but the unique thing that it does is sticks a sticky bomb every time you hit things with it. So you can see if I blast this dummy in the face, a couple seconds later, there's an extra explosion. So that's really great, you know, if you want to bunch up enemies, and then let's see this here, and then put a sticky bomb on one. It eventually went too far away, but you get the idea. So we're gonna do that, and I also want to take a look at what upgrades I can take, because I do have a lot of currency. You can see in the top right there, I have an amount of currency that I can spend on permanent upgrades. So what do y'all think? What are your favorite upgrades to get?
Ooh, I like Punch Rush a lot because I do use the punch a lot
Ooh.
because I don't know, my fighting style is quick, I guess. And that really scratches an itch in that.
The punch rush is hella cool. I think we should do that. And that also makes me think it would be good to show off maybe some specific vault items. Oops. So I'm gonna unequip this, and let me see. Oh, can I even unlock it? Let's see.
I just want to say I really like the dash one, where you unlock multiple dashes, but you already have that equipped. Can you maybe update it or upgrade? Sorry.
Yes.
Then you have more.
But I did want
dashes
to
on your
grab
wing.
this Hit the Streets, which is sort of a later one, but I have a lot of cash, so I'm gonna, well, or resolve, so I'm gonna get it. This is, you're more likely to find the Vandal's Vaults, increases a chance of finding rare or better items. And the reason I want to take that is because, they often have a lot of items that increase your ability to do fisticuffs, punching based combat. So I wanted to take that. So I've got now the Punch Rush and the Vandals. I've got Resurrect. I do have Dasher. Can I upgrade that still? Oh, okay. It's 1,000 to level up.
Okay.
But I do already have the 2 extra dashes, or just the 1 extra dash. But yes,
I'm so used to having like the full dashes, and it feels really nice.
For sure. Yeah, it's definitely helpful if you want to play a little more defensively and sort of make sure you can cover a lot of ground by dashing. But now I should show off the Punch Rush that I just got, so...
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah, that's
That
really
is
cool.
cool as hell. Let's use that against an enemy, because it's extremely satisfying. Oops. But I did want to just look at this in here. So to activate the Punch Rush, you punch twice, pause, and then punch 3 more times. So it's almost sort of a fighting game style combo that you have to do for some of these punch-based attacks, which I think is really cool. So if you're into that kind of fighting style, you have that option in Arc. Here's Ardea.
Or die trying.
And it's fantastic to get a super high combo count as well.
Yes. Ooh, dang. Okay, so I'm seeing
no.
electrified enemies who I
No.
actually
Oh no.
can't punch. So we'll see. We'll make
The worst
do.
examples to use, yeah.
No, but that's kind of a cool. Oops. There I go punching. That's sort of the whole point of these alternate types of enemies where they get electrified or they might have an extra shield. It sort of forces you to make sure that you have a versatile play style. So that's another reason why you might want to take the upgrade that allows you to... I'm just sort of out of habit trying to punch these guys. I also want to show off the upgrade, but that's okay, because I think I also have the upgrade that restores a little bit of health whenever you finish combat.
Oh, nice.
Okay, so I've got a Spear Sister artifact. I think this is going to be good because I want to focus on punching, and this is just generally good. Dashing reduces heat. You can dash while releasing a throw. I've said before, but I'm not great at managing the heat. So it's good to have something that can mitigate that. And for anybody who's new here, heat is sort of this yellow bar beneath the health that's filling up as I use my javelin. Once that fills up, your javelin overheats, and then you have to wait a second before you can use the javelin bayonet. So all the shotguns that I have. Queen of Keys. Okay, so what are we doing?
Ooh.
I can use maybe the punch rush against these guys. Oh, except I should probably kill these first. So, they will get me. Oh, well, I punched him into a trap, so. Ah, there you are. Boom, 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 boom. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So
really nice.
satisfying.
Yeah.
That's really good. But yeah, you do leave yourself vulnerable for projectiles, so, you know, has its drawbacks as well. Here's Vantel. I'm not just skipping the dialogue because I'm an impatient gamer, but, you know, I want to keep the stream combat focused and not spoil all the story moments for y'all. Okay, and now we have these annoying guys who leave acid everywhere. Julian, maybe you can talk a little a bit about the acid. Was that something you created?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I don't know. This was a surprise to me. One day there was a briefing, hey, can we do something like this? We already prototyped it gameplay-wise, but we need some visuals for it. And then I was, okay, sure, let's look at some references and try to make something. I broke it down into mostly 2 to 3 important parts. There is the puddle on the floor itself and the bubbles that plop up from it. I saw that in a few references and I thought, oh, this will really look nice. So I made a few custom meshes that look kind of like a half dome and tried to erode it, to open them basically from the top. And as soon as I put those two things together, it super quickly started to look like this bubbly soup of just things that you don't like. The green as a color was already set, but the specific tone of green wasn't established at that point. So we picked something that looks also very caustic and just it should communicate you do not go here, and I think it does that kind of well. The only other part that was then left was to make some small drops that fly around, and these are again particles with a specific texture that erode, which grow and then shrink again over time. And then we had these puddles. They're not 100% error-proof yet in all cases. There's 1 or 2 bugs that come up every now and then. I don't want to even say bugs, but they just behave not as expected. So we're still trying to fix that in all the cases, but it's really edge cases where this happens. Yeah, but I don't know. They worked much better than expected, I want to say. Especially for the small small balls that spread them, because I made them initially for a larger type of enemy that just does one big puddle, and not specifically for the small ones. And adapting them to them was easier than expected, I want to say.
Okay, so as a reminder, there's these like things that you can jab your javelin in, and then they keep shooting again and again, which is super nice and really fun to use. They're not in every level, but I use them whenever I can. Oh gosh, I'm sort of getting ganged up on here. Forbidden lime juice. There's also another enemy that drops acid. That I'm hoping we'll see, because I remember you also talked about designing some of the VFX for that in one of our meetings a while ago, and that was super interesting. Maria, is there anything like that you had a hand in concepting that we've seen?
Well, we saw the spread balls.
Oh yeah?
That Yulia talked about. Yeah, that was... actually, I remember when I concepted that, it was one of the more easy ones to concept, just because of how limited it is. It's very small. You just need some holes to come out to have acid. And yeah, and I think my biggest inspiration was looking at those like multiple-sided dices that has like 8 sides or like 12 sides,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That was like the biggest inspiration. And then
Just like
we
everything else that we make, it's inspired by tabletop gaming.
Yeah. Just slap some of that there, put some brass and some ornate things, and we're good to go. Yeah.
Ooh.
I have the feeling we have one or two design tricks that come up every now and then. It is either taking regular world objects and combining them with other things, or an animal, a creature gag. You've already mentioned that before, but there's
Yes.
also the just regular day objects.
Right. I mean, designing stuff, you have to like get ideas and inspirations from real life, right? So it's essentially like a mishmash of like real life stuff, some imaginary stuff, and then figuring out how they all work together, give each one different percentage of design, and then yeah, make one.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out that I think one of the inspirations for the bell grunt, our most common enemy, is of course a bell, but also a hermit crab, which you can see from its little legs.
Yeah, I think these a couple of enemies were designed before I joined the team, and I remember just seeing it and just thinking, wow, this is a really cute design for an enemy. I would feel so bad for killing it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well,
The bell grunt is, in fact, really the very, very, very first design, the first enemy design that we made that wasn't a proper primitive. Before that, we had boxes and cylinders running around, and the bell grunt was really the first one that we made.
Oh, that's so cool. It's such a solid design.
Somebody
First
asked
one.
if the camera is a decal.
The camera? That
Oh,
thing
like
there on the
Yes,
ground?
This thingy,
I mean
the
the
spotlight.
pink thing.
Yes, absolutely.
And what other things are decals? Because I know, like, I think the things that you see on the vaults are also decals. Is that
These
true?
arrows and all the
Okay.
graffiti are usually decals. In our game, it is a bit, since we do a lot of trickery with 2D elements in the environment. There's a lot of things that you could call a decal, but not all of them technically are. Many of them are really just a well-placed mesh. But yes, all the graffiti definitely, as I said, a lot of the shadows are these cracks on the statue.
Oh.
Also just projected onto it.
Yes. Next time I'll do it a little more slowly, because that's also really cool to look at. More depth. Oh. Eee. Oh.
Ah, nice. We found a shop.
Okay, what do we got here? I don't have a ton of keys. Flimsy leeches. All attacks inflict drain. You know, I'm feeling pretty good right now. My health is full. Here's the trench rat. Blah, blah, blah. Not blah, blah, blah. The dialogue is great, but I don't want y'all to see it.
We want to see some action.
Okay. Now to a safe room. But I'm at full health, man. I'm feeling good. Just gonna drink it because it tastes good. Another shop. But I can't afford any of this. So let's move on. Okay, who we got here? Rapper. Dang, I was hoping for more vandals, but the RNG is not in my favor today.
Rapper has some really nice items though.
That's
I
true.
really like, yeah, I really like the ones where the item that you get where you drop traps if you get hit. Or
Yeah, maybe
dash.
we'll grab one of those. Oh, so here's the other guy that drops acid.
Ooh, yeah.
Yes.
I hate that one.
Why
I
do
just
you hate
hate
him?
all the acid enemies. They suck.
What? Why? They only make you prevent you from going specific places. Why would you don't like them?
I feel like it takes so long for the acids to disappear. I mean, they disappear just fine, but I want to go somewhere and I can't because of them.
Yeah, this has sort of worked
It
out
is.
well for me, this arena. Oh my god, okay, I can definitely tell I'm on a higher difficulty now.
No.
Because, dang, these waves are relentless. Ah,
Also, that's a lot of enemies in such a tiny little space.
I know. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Okay,
But,
oh,
but
you-
Ian is making great use of the traps here.
yeah. So
There's
that's
a lot of nice traps.
that's my tip, and that's definitely something I see a lot of our players do now that they have the demo. Is like if you get overwhelmed, you can definitely rely on traps, and sort of use that as a buffer. Eventually, you can't only rely on traps, although you can strengthen your use of traps with like these trapper items. But it's a good way to get out of a rough situation using the environment to your advantage. Okay, so
Yeah,
here's one
trapper.
of the things you were talking about.
Yes.
Getting hit drops a cluster of bear traps. Slamming your javelin into a gearbox boosts your heat recovery. So a gearbox is anything that activates the traps. I already have a couple things that restore my heat. Critical hits have a chance to recover all scratch damage. Critical hit chances increase. Okay, so this actually dovetails well with some of the things, but I want to show off these bear traps. Let's grab that.
Yes, please.
And Minish Maki in the chat asks, Maria, do you have a concept piece you remember that was especially fun to work on?
Ooh, that's a really good question. Well, the Chimera was really fun. There's this other boss that's super fun that I think was my favorite to concept, but I cannot tell you anything
Yes,
about
that's
it.
a spoiler boss. But
Yeah, but when you see it, you will know what I mean. You'll be like, oh yeah, okay, that one is fun. But another one other than the Chimera. Let me see. I really another fun, especially fun to work on. I think so. These are not as spectacular, but I think I actually had a lot of fun concepting like the cracked floor tiles. So if you look at the floor right now, there's a bunch of tiles that are missing. Like those are literally like these. You can think of it as a sticker. Like
So
we
these
have these
things right here.
generated. Yeah, we have like the floor right already. It's not. It wouldn't have any potholes or anything, but I just drew a bunch of like these small potholes that you can just stick it in there. And I don't know why, but I liked it because it felt like more lived in, I guess.
So are those two-dimensional?
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, that's the cool thing, and we've posted these sorts of videos a couple times on our social media channels, but, you know, it's really cool if you go into Engine and then sort of turn the camera around and you can see that it's just a mix of things that are actually 2D and 3D objects that are just painted to look 2D. like this vault, I always think looks pretty two-dimensional, but it is a 3D object, right?
Yes. And then
So
we projected the texture on top.
yeah.
But if you look at the backside, your mind is just melting.
Oh my gosh, these waves are getting relentless. Okay.
Oh.
Because on top of all of this, now I also have like these overseers spawning almost every time. Thank goodness for this this fuse box here in the middle. Oh my god.
I also love the design of the Overseer.
Yes.
Also designed before it came, and the animations as well is incredible. I just love it. So biblical.
Oh,
Oh no, Ian.
I think that's the first time I've actually failed one of those.
Oh.
Oh.
Because
okay.
they were easy for a while, and we have recently made them harder.
Okay.
So I need to focus on getting faster.
Okay.
And I
I
haven't.
so often fail the don't get hit at all challenges.
Oh, those are
I just can't do them.
those are bad. I mean, they're good challenges, but I'm mad at them.
Same.
Crap. Yeah, maybe I won't be able to get this one. Ah! Because, you know, this is a roguelite. There are some... Oh,
No.
well, I'm not going to try that one again. Luckily, I have options. And actually, I don't need to do that one. I don't need to do any more because I've
Oh yeah, you're right.
completed everything. Hello, Paige! Thanks for joining.
Hello.
I'll do this one though because this one doesn't have a time limit, and if I'm not stressing out about a time limit, I might do that. So the electrified enemies are the ones that I can't. Ugh.
I realized I never asked you, Ian. Do you have like a favorite design of any of the enemies, or like a random prop or something? You're just like, this is neat. I like it.
That's a good question. I mean, I'm also obsessed with the boss that we can't talk about.
Then okay.
But I mean, it just has so many cool design elements. I think people. Oh, that one I can't throw at. These shielded enemies.
Yeah.
But I'm also a huge fan of the Overseer. I think it's just really like a cool enemy design. I love that it has a couple variants. It has one that is these 5 swords that we've been seeing, and there's another one that's like a big Zweihander sword that
Right.
It can swing in big sweeping motions. But yeah, what else do I like? I mean, it's a cool looking game in general, so I like it all. I'm not just saying that, even though some of the enemies are a pain in my butt. I like them all. Actually, I don't know when they start appearing, but I also like the heavy bell grunts. They're very funny looking.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
I think they are really they're pretty late in the game.
Okay.
Yeah.
They are so different from all the other enemies though. Not design-wise, but behavior-wise.
Yes.
Yeah.
We had to put a lot of exceptions, special cases in how everything works for them to do what they do.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Because
guess
usually they don't leave the battle area, the arena, but those
normal enemies
just
don't.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, normal enemies don't, but the heavy ones, they have this ability.
Oh, nice.
Always so satisfying.
Yes.
Okay.
Nice.
What do we get? I did. Oh, legendary. Bear traps deal more damage and have an increased critical hit chance. Bear trap damage by 60%.
Ooh.
And 20%. Well, I guess I've got to get that, right?
Yeah.
And then ideally, I'd also get some more, because there are other objects. There are other items that increase your likelihood of dropping bear traps. There's a question for Yulian. Was there any VFX tech art that was particularly tricky to figure out?
particularly tricky to figure out. Let me think. There are a few examples that look super easy on the surface here, but were a lot harder to actually pull off. The dash, for example, has been a door in my thumb for months in this game. Usually this isn't so complicated, but we decided, okay, we want a dash that you can continue, right? It shouldn't be interrupted, and we want this to be configurable through upgrades. And if you do 2 dashes perfectly in sync, you should see that the line just continues on.
Yeah.
Making that work with our timeline-based system for all the actions was a nightmare. Because usually everything is easy, nice, and contained in that one action, but every time something needs to go out of that, it needs a special solution. And I don't know, we kept it in a okay enough state for a long time, and only pretty late during development in general, I made it look. I added all the nice bits that make it look juicy.
Okay. Overseer Spitface, let's
Oh,
go.
let's go.
Oh, and I guess I don't have traps on this one.
Oh no.
On it.
No help
Right,
for
that
you.
is even the one with the big sword.
Yes, the Zweihander.
I like that one a
Overseer.
lot, I gotta say.
It's so cool the way
Yeah.
it swings.
And just like the way the sword is fractured and it uses that and comes together, it's like, what? That's so cool.
Okay, well, I haven't been hit yet, so I feel good about that.
Yeah, that's actually pretty impressive.
And slow but surely, I'm just trying to pick these guys off. It's best if I can line it up because, you know, if you throw your javelin into an enemy, it gets lodged in there and then fires off the shotgun. So if I can aim it right, it hits the enemies behind it as well. So you can hit both of them if they're clustered together. This guy is at least easier to run away from. I kind of want to kill the Overseer first because it's more of a pain on my part. Actually, I really like the Spitface. That's maybe my favorite. I
Really?
forget about him. Yeah, I mean, it's just such a funny design. Like it's sort of like those vending machines that spit out toys.
Yeah.
But and I think its face is funny. It has this anguished statue face, and the way it walks is also funny. It has that hermit crab thing, and then it has also this melee attack that it does if you walk too close.
Right, and if you look at the design actually, on the other side where it doesn't have the arm, it has like the remnants of what was supposed to be also like another arm, I think.
Huh.
But now it only has one.
Stygial arm.
Yeah. And I don't know why, but whenever I fight the Spitface, I always think the tiny balls are like the babies. And this is just, it's like throwing its babies at you.
I mean, sure.
Now it's a little bit mean that we have to fight it.
Yeah. But I mean, they're the
But
one.
I mean, look at it.
Yeah.
I have the feeling the Spitface is really prime level design when it comes to, I don't know, it has this creepy bit to it, but it can't deliver on the creepiness.
Yeah.
In the beginning, the pitch on paper, it sounded so terrifying, but now there is a certain comedic element to it.
For sure. Yes. I agree.
And it's called the Spitface. That always makes me laugh.
Yeah. Yeah, that too, actually. You're right for the name itself.
Oh, okay.
Nice,
Not
you did
bad.
it.
Not bad. Thank
Good
you.
job,
Thank you. I don't even
Ian.
need
Good
this health.
job.
Okay. Maybe I'm not as bad as I thought.
Also, did you show everyone your cool controller before?
Oh no. Oh, that's a good
Ooh,
idea. When I
okay.
have a moment,
When
I
you're
will put it up
ready.
in the camera.
Yes.
Yeah, we all have the same controller. Eek, eek.
Yeah.
I can do it while you're playing.
Ah,
Oh,
good.
yeah.
Here,
Good
right
thinking,
next to
yes.
me.
Okay, of course.
Yes, that is our Studio Fizbin controller. Custom made with our Fizbin colors.
Yeah.
Very nice. Yeah. Mine is actually, I gave it to my brother.
Ah.
So I don't have it.
Lucky
But
him.
yeah.
I use it for
Yes,
all my
exactly.
gaming needs. Okay. I was also wondering, this might be a trickier question, but are there any, like, things that didn't make into the game that you were really excited about? But, you know, they were cut for whatever reason.
Oh, we've cut a bunch of things.
Thank
Obviously, like in any game, right? There's at least 50% overhead if you're lucky.
And why
I
is that?
think the thing is, ideally, you don't finish them, but for trying them out, you need to build them to a certain level, so that you can have them in the game and test them out really.
And then you decide at that point,
And-
okay, I don't want this in the final game, or it's not working in
Yes.
some way.
Yes, and then you need to change it or abandon it. I think we more often tend to change things until they work, so they don't feel as much like we've lost something or we've needed
Yeah.
to leave ideas behind. I remember we had a few. I haven't seen those in a while. We had some very small enemies that looked like the cameras.
Oh my god, I forgot
And-
about those.
Ooh.
Right, we absolutely repurposed them as the cameras, but at a certain point in time, they were like these kamikaze-like enemies that just flew at you and exploded.
Right.
Oh,
Um,
that must be really old because I don't remember seeing them. Yeah.
That is likely.
Okay.
I remember building a very, very intricate and special-looking explosion, very much towards the beginning, where we're still finding the look. That is not in the game as is, but elements of it are.
Yeah.
So we ripped it apart and just reused it in different places in different ways, I guess.
Okay.
That is usually more how we work, I guess.
Spray can! No!
Oh,
Okay, sorry.
I did show
I
off
was like-
spray cans a lot on a previous stream, so I want to grab
Oh,
my beloved
Okay.
punch and paint, which goes super well
Okay.
with this guy.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
yeah, that works well, but I just love spray can so much.
I know.
tried
I
to.
know.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Ah.
Too slow. But yeah, I just think it's really interesting to think about like what was changed before it got in the final game, because like yeah, I'd forgotten all about those cameras that fly around, and yeah, I think it was like the right decision to cut them. But they still live on in the game in some form, which is really cool. So ultimately, it doesn't really go to waste, and it makes the game better by focusing on what is working.
Yeah.
Yee.
Nice.
Oh,
Look at
so
that.
good. So
Wow.
good. This guy's here will interrupt my fun. Get out of here. Trap. Ah! Oh. Oh.
Ooh. You know, one thing I like
Um,
about the bullet thingies that hit with the camera, it also hits its own enemies.
Yeah, the cannon.
Oh,
the cannon
these.
Yeah,
trap
the cannons. Yeah,
hits
those.
everybody.
Yeah. So we can get
I
this
really like
poor guy. Oh, he's gonna stop and shoot at me. But yeah, we haven't seen a ton of trap variety in these streams so far, but there actually are a lot of different kinds of trap.
Yeah.
You guys have a a favorite trap to deploy?
I think the acid trap, for all the obvious reasons, because I like the acid effect anyway,
Sure.
and it covers a huge area. Because what you had problems with right now is also getting the enemy in front of the trap perfectly.
Yeah.
And granted, that is a difficult spot to pull that off. But with the acid traps, it is kind of easy because they are the area is large. Simple as that.
I like the bombed one.
That's my favorite
because
too.
you can like shoot from a distance. You don't have to trigger it yourself. I think, right?
Yes, you can like throw your javelin at it, and then it will. Struggling
Yeah,
a
it
little
also
bit here.
covers a pretty big area. But the spike traps are such a classic. I feel like they're pretty powerful, and you can sometimes while testing I've just lured all the enemies to one side and then to the other side over and over just to watch them like
Yes.
kill themselves and it's just funny. Oh, what do we have here?
I mean, that's pretty solid. It's nothing fancy, but it's epic and will increase my bayonet damage by 23%. So the bayonet is the shotgun damage specifically, so I'm gonna grab that.
Nice.
And I've just littered bear traps everywhere.
But Ian, you shouldn't litter. Please pick up in the
Yeah.
dungeon after yourself.
Queen's problem now. Listen, I pay my feudal obligations, so it's her job to pick it up for me.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's true. Littering is not fun.
Yes.
Okay, looks like I can maybe get some health here when I want to not trigger combat. Oh, and bloodletter.
close.
Oh, thank goodness. I could use some health or something.
Oh, this is time limited again.
Oh, it is? Uh-oh. I'm probably not gonna get the one. Not to like...
Taking all your sweet time. This is way too easy.
Yeah, I mean, that's why we have, like, a lot of these are totally optional. I have kind of just been doing every combat just because I can. But,
Yeah.
oh.
Chat. Oli says littering is not punk at all.
Yes.
Agreed. Big agree.
Oh, too slow. Yeah, I'm not gonna try that again. I think in an ideal world, I'd maybe have some more character upgrades, permanent character upgrades, and I'd be a little more confident with my damage output. But I do like that there's ones that are a bit too hard for me, because I don't know. I'm decently good, but I'm definitely not a master, so I like that there's still challenges to be overcome that I need to work on. Despite
and you
me
can
playing...
just play more runs to get stronger
Yes.
and come back later.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so what do we got? We got another trap master. I want more bear traps, so I'm gonna go to him first. Ooh, I forgot this punch rush also has like a grabbing thing, so if you're not immediately in front of it, you sort of pull him in. Eek. Oh. Can you talk about all this paint that I'm seeing on the ground and where that came from? Maybe both story-wise and from a game design perspective.
Well, we wanted to lean into the graffiti style a lot, and in the beginning we only placed it on the lockers, and then we noticed
Right.
it is difficult to find your way to the specific one that you want to get to. So we decided we'll add a bit of color coordinated graffiti to the lock and to the rooms as well, to make it a bit more clear which lock belongs to which locker and which way do you need to go basically to get to this one. Because you might look at the map or you might know there's 2 locks in here, but if you want to make an informed decision and not just go to one, see, that is not really the one I wanted, that is frustrating, and we wanted to combat that problem a bit. So these are, to a certain degree, a fix for an issue that we found, but it's also nice decoration, and it fits the style of the game very well. And hence, we've added similar elements to kind of everything.
Yeah, see, when this was being implemented, I thought, do we really need that? But when I started playing the game a lot more, I realized, yeah, it's actually really nice to know which vault you're gonna get.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah, it's very subtle,
worked.
but like now I know I can follow these little paint splotches to find the next
Yeah.
vault. And eventually we'd also just decided to add in this handy mini-map, so I lost it.
The map is so nice.
Yeah, that
to
was
know
sort
where
of a
to go.
response to playtesting too, is
Right.
we noticed a lot of people were having trouble finding exactly where they wanted to go, and so we added this mini-map, and I think it's been super, super helpful. And yeah, we've been doing playtesting basically throughout all of development since before I even started. With a game like this that's really complex, it's very helpful to do a lot of playtesting and just see how people respond to all of the many things that are happening. Oh my god, speaking of many things happening.
Since we were talking about some background stuff, I
Yeah.
also want to add, if you look, around that area, there's like vines, like these greeneries. So that's like background
Jeez.
additions. Yeah, those. And I think there was a time we did not have any green at all. Maybe some moss, like the weird green stuff in 4, but that was all. And I think it looked so much more bare.
Yeah.
So these little additions in the background really make a difference, I feel like, with how like the environment feels, like the mood. So I would say these assets were a great idea. The vines.
Absolutely. They make the entire place feel much more alive.
Yeah.
A lot of them are also very, very subtly moving.
Oh yeah, let's take a look at. Oh, I'm still doing combat, but.
Ian, you can do this.
Yeah, this is just wrong. Come on. Oh, that's right.
Always. It's funny. You're like fighting so intensely, and then all these candles in the background are just so
So
peacefully
serene.
just lit. no like wind just blowing them off. Nice.
I remember that for the future, for the next game, when we do combat encounters and candles in the rough
Yeah.
vicinity, we just need to pull, just to blow them out through
That would
shockwaves
be
or
actually
something
really
like that.
cool. Yeah, and
Be
then it just
interesting.
turns on its own later.
Yeah, so here you can see some of the subtly moving things. I mean, obviously the candles. Let's see.
The dust raining from the
And like
ceiling.
the dust that's coming
Yeah.
from the ceiling, that's also really cool.
I'll try to point those out more as I see them. Ooh. Oh. There. Punch them right into the trap.
In the previous encounter, you also had some of the acid belgrunts.
Yes.
You wanted me to talk about those
Yes.
earlier, right?
So those are the ones
they
that look like,
have-
what are they called? Alembics, and they are filled with the green acid.
Those were the original enemy where the effect was made for. And they also have one more thing that is super cool. They have liquid sloshing around in their heads, and it's really.
Yeah.
And this is one of the few places where we did a glass material for the game that it is a surprising one-off effect, because I think we don't have it anywhere else, if I am correct.
Yeah, you're right.
but obviously making that work with the outlines that we use was again a special case. Making the liquid slosh around at all is was a challenge. There's other games which do this already quite well. Most famous is Half-Life Alyx,
Oh
but
yeah.
there's a lot of examples of games which use these kind of effects. And we do it very similarly. We basically we use an object, a volume, and cut it in half at a certain point. But we also now model a surface on top of the half sphere, like all in code, basically all in the shader that calculates this, to have a thing inside of the other thing, to have a liquid in a bottle that we can see. And the sloshing around, the movement is really a very, very, very crude physics simulation. There are two objects that you can't see parented to another, that one reacts to the movement of the other like a spring, and that basically creates this surface movement.
Okay. I'm definitely gonna get that. Am I going? Okay, the boss is next. Oh crap, you guys.
Ooh, you got this.
We'll see.
Yes.
Okay, but then I should definitely buy more of this. Used up after getting hit. Well, probably get hit, but why not? Also used up after getting hit. But hey, we're at the boss, so
Get all the stuff.
okay, good. Okay. I'm trying to delay. Is there anything we could talk about here? I like these screens. Oh, here's some subtly moving stuff. The
Yes.
grass.
Oh yeah, the greens. More grass.
Yes. Okay.
You asked earlier about things that got cut. We had a very different styled room for a certain time, which we weren't sure if we wanted to expand on it or just use it for upgrades. And these keys that lie around here, they were initially made for that room, because we wanted a kind of forge where Clef could upgrade her weapons, and molten keys sounded correct there.
Oh.
Let's go, Ian. You got this. Julian, when you were talking about the acid Belgrab, that reminds me. If I recall, that was pretty hard to do, right? Like the liquid simulation thing within the glass, was it pretty challenging? Right?
Yeah, because like the base again is not that difficult. There is tutorials for these kind of things, but as soon as you push for, I want a little bit more out of this, I had the feeling that it got a bit more difficult quickly. Because I said I wanted this to be shaded correctly inside of the glass, and I want the glass to have some visual thickness to it. These kind of things made it more difficult than just the basics.
Okay, because I just wanted to say, when I was concepting that, one of the ideas for the glass was it has the shape that it has now, so it's like round with like a little sprout, right? But it would also have another smaller glass inside it that also had its own liquid. And I mean, the big liquid would be, of course, like halfway, but the smaller one would also have its own that sloshes. And I was thinking, oh, that might be.
I want to say,
stressful.
yes, I want to say every layer of transparency inside of other transparent objects are famously difficult for video games to do.
Oh.
So,
wow, okay.
Why is that?
it is. It has something to do with the way or the order that things are rendered in. When you have fully opaque objects, it doesn't really matter basically in which order you render them. They'll look correct in the end. You can optimize how fast the entire rendering is by sorting them from nearest to camera to furthest from camera. So that's what usually is happening. Uh-oh. Oh, but you,
Oh, Ian, that was so
oh, I
close.
think you can.
Oh.
That was close, but
Oh.
I think you can do it.
Oh
Oh,
no,
oh,
Ian.
shoot.
No.
No.
Oh no!
Oh.
Please show us the second phase.
Well,
Please.
that gives us something to look at next time. Because,
Okay.
yeah, but I did get a lot of resolve on this one. But here, let me make the baby Belgran.
Yes. Really cute baby Belgran.
Okay, but let's see what I can get, because now I have a lot of money or resolve. Finishing off enemies.
While you pick an upgrade, I can finish what I was saying.
Please.
Yes.
Opaque things are easy because they usually turn out correct. Transparent things much more difficult because you need to render them from furthest to closest to get the correct result, and you need to have the correct order to make them look right. And with glass, that is usually in front of many other things, partially transparent things, this is a very restrictive element because you need to put that in the right moment of rendering. If the order is wrong, things that should be distorted by the glass show up in front or don't show up at all, and that makes these kind of effects tricky. And it's double tricky if it's a sphere with something inside that is moving, because you never know from which direction you look at it and which part should be in front of which other part. That is usually why these things are difficult.
Okay. So we should avoid this in the future.
If you want to make your life as a game developer easy, avoid transparencies in general. They are a total pain. But you can't live without them either. There's
we don't do this
just
because
too
it's
many
easy.
places where you need it.
Okay, so I think that's all I want to do for today, because that took a while. I'm a little hot and heavy after that fight. And yeah, I think I'm feeling good about next time. Maybe I'll cheat and give myself a little more resolve in the next run through. We'll see. But before we go, I want to remind people to please play the demo if you haven't yet. And if you have played the demo, leave us a review. It's super helpful. And wishlist the game, recommend it to your friends. And of course, you'll get this awesome little statue once you get the full game. And a reminder that we have this giveaway going on, so you can check our socials. There's also been some links posted in the chat. But you can win this super awesome displate poster that we've created, that our art team designed. So yeah, again, thank you all so much for tuning in. Thank you, Julian and Maria, for being here. I think it was super interesting. I've never seen a dev stream quite go into that much depth, and I really appreciate what y'all brought to the table today. So thank you. Any last words?
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, this was really fun. Thank you for hosting and playing the boss over and over. Hopefully, the next time you will get him.
Someone's got to do it. Well, all right,
Yes.
and we'll be back again next week, same time, same place. Thanks to y'all for tuning in, and have a good night. Bye.
Thanks for coming by, people.
Thank you. Bye.